Welcome to Rob on Holiday, and this magnificent view is our introduction to the city of Cordoba in Andalusia, southern Spain. We're going to be exploring Cordoba, so join us. Cordoba is the third largest city in Andalusia in southern Spain. A city lost in time, Cordoba's historic centre retains a quaint oldie-worldy charm and is home to one of the most beautiful buildings in Spain, the Mezquita. We spent a couple of days in Cordoba this year and fell in love with the city's many historic monuments and its quieter, more laid-back pace. In this video, we'll be showing you what to see in Cordoba in 2 days. We arrived in Cordoba around 9 AM after taking an early high-speed train from Malaga. If you want to know more about train travel in Spain, check out this video for all the information you need. After checking into our hotel, the Hotel Vitium, we headed straight out into the city to start exploring. We're starting our visit on the Puente Romano, the Roman bridge. We're walking away from the centre of Cordoba, and the first thing is the Calleja Tower, which is just at the end of the bridge. Like many Spanish cities, Cordoba dates all the way back to Roman times. Although, like many Roman bridges and walls that still stand across Spain, the bridge has been reconstructed many times since it was originally built in the 1st century AD. The Roman bridge is a great place to start your trip to Cordoba. Not only is it one of the best attractions in the city, but from the far side of the bridge you get a fantastic view back over the old town. Now this location looking over the Guadalquivir River is the Ponte Romano, which you may have guessed is the Roman bridge. And you've got a magnificent view over the river, over to the Mezquita Cathedral here, which is the main attraction in Cordoba. We walked over the bridge early in the morning, so the Torre de la Calleja wasn't open yet. The tower houses the Museo Vivo al Andalus, which gives visitors a flavour of what life was like in 10th century Cordoba, when Christians, Muslims and Jews all inhabited the same city. We're more interested in architecture than museums, so we were happy to just admire the tower from the outside. We're getting the real Andalusian experience here in this bar. It's full of locals, absolute chaos. There must be 1 million pieces of toast under the grill. The orange juice is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to this buttered toast. Look at this. After a rather chaotic but nice breakfast, we walked back over the Roman bridge and under the Puerta del Puente towards the heart of Cordoba's old town. Our next stop was the famous Mezquita. Although we had tickets booked for the next day, the weather wasn't looking so great for the rest of our trip, so we decided to explore the Mezquita's courtyard while the sun was out. We have tickets to go in the Mezquita tomorrow, but what's interesting to note here in Cordoba that the main square in the centre of the cathedral, which is full of these beautiful trees, a fountain, and you can see the tower, this is free to enter. You can just walk in off the street. There's lots of people milling about here, so you know, if you're in Cordoba, you can pop by and see this. I mean, of course, you're going to see the inside of the Mezquita. I am so looking forward to that because it looks absolutely incredible, but just worth knowing that this bit's free. The Patio de los Naranjos is a beautiful courtyard lined with fragrant orange trees. It's also the best place to see the Mezquita's bell tower, which is the tallest building in Cordoba. Unfortunately, the weather forecast let us down and the rain arrived early. But luckily the courtyard has an undercover walkway on all sides, which was the perfect place to hide out for a while. Once the shower had passed, we carried on with our tour of the old town. This is one of the most popular attractions in Cordoba, the Calleja de las Flores, of course, the Street of Flowers. Now, a very helpful suggestion from a lady coming the other way down the Calleja de las Flores was walk up to the top and come the other way. And you can see why when you get here now, because of course you've got the cathedral tower in the background. Just take a look at this. Next, we headed over to Cordoba's Jewish quarter. The Jewish quarter stands as a reminder of the city's multicultural past. Cordoba's Jewish quarter is home to one of only 3 original synagogues that still stand in Spain. Most of the synagogues were destroyed after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain at the end of the 15th century. This is the synagogue, obviously in the Jewish quarter. Now online it says it's €1.50 to enter, but we've walked up today and it's free entry. Only a little place, but worth seeing. The thing that's very nice about it, if you look inside, the Mudahar artwork on the walls on the inside are very detailed. And of course, in Andalusia, this Mudahar style is all across Andalusia. We were surprised to see it as far north as Zaragoza on one of our trips, but this is the home of Mudahar in Spain. Our walk through the Jewish quarter led us out through the Puerta de Almodóvar, one of the gates that used to form part of Cordoba's city walls. And by the time we got there, it was time for lunch. We're eating lunch here at the El Porton bar, which is just built into the city wall here in Cordoba, and it's fantastic. Selection of Spanish things, tortilla, croquetas, manchego cheese, bit of bread. It's a really nice lunch. Very highly recommended, this place. We just had lunch at a very nice little cafe called El Porton, which is the gateway, which is in the Arab wall here. Now this wall is, as I say, from Arab times, before the Christian reconquest of Spain. It's not really marked on any maps, which I'm really surprised at, but I mean, it's really worth seeing. You can see it here. And there's a nice little gardens and some water features down by the side of it here. Just here is one of three gates through the city walls into Cordoba that's still standing, the Puerta del Almodóvar. And is it Almodóvar? Almodóvar. And you can get into the Jewish quarter of the city there. But we're going to take a walk down here because it leads on to the Alcázar, which is one of the main sites in Cordoba. We've got tickets for this afternoon. The area around the Puerta del Almodóvar was a surprise highlight of our visit to Cordoba. The old city wall and the beautiful pools running alongside it make this a lovely street to walk down, back towards the river. The path along the city wall leads straight to Cordoba's Alcázar. We had tickets to visit later in the afternoon, but with a few hours left until our entry time, we decided to explore the San Basilio area of the city. Cordoba is famous for its flower patios, lots of beautiful areas you can go and look around. So we've come to the San Basilio area. We bought tickets, €6.50 each, and it gives you access to 5 of the patios in this area. So obviously we're going to put them all on the video, and then you can decide and we can decide whether it was worth the €6.50. The 5 patios are all close together, and it's easy to find them using the map provided. Just present your ticket at the entrance to each patio and you'll be allowed to head inside. To be honest, all of them started to blur into one after a while, but I do think visiting at least a patio or two during your time in Cordoba is a must. Just next to the entrance to the second patio is this lovely statue of an old guy and a child watering the flowers here, tribute to all the flower growers of Cordoba. It's a really nice touch. So that's the 5 patios in the San Basilio area. Is it worth it? Yeah, actually I would say it is. €6.50 for 5 patios. Is that about $1.30 per patio? All the patios, it doesn't take long to visit and they're very beautiful, full of flowers. But almost as good as the patios themselves, the route it takes you around, it's not a massive route, but you see some really nice streets. So in addition to the 5 patios, you're also walking past some other beautiful flowers at the side, hanging over the street, and some nicely painted houses. It's a really nice route to walk around. So I would pay the $6.50 and do it. Behind me is the Alcázar de los Reyes Cristianos, the Alcázar of the Christian monarchs. And of course it is one of the major tourist attractions here in Cordoba. So let's go inside. I'm really looking forward to this, seeing the building and the beautiful gardens. The Alcázar de los Reyes Cristianos is one of the most important buildings in Cordoba's Old Town. Built in 1328, the Alcázar combines elements of Christian and Muslim architectural styles and was one of the royal residence of the Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabel. Tickets for the Alcázar cost just €5 and are available to book ahead of time online. We've headed up to the towers of the Alcázar. This is the first level and you can walk on the battlements here looking outside. You have quite a good view. down to the bridge and the Guadalquivir River there, and you can see out to the gardens that we're going to go in after. And what's interesting, looking in the background, you'd think that Cordoba in Andalusia is going to be quite, almost desert-like outside, but no, all the fields look green. And reading a bit online, you do get quite a bit of rain in the winter, so that explains things. It's not really like I thought it would be, the surroundings. Now this is what you pay your money for in the Alcázar, the gardens. I mean, inside there's a couple of rooms that are mildly interesting, but the gardens is where it really shines. Lots of pools, lots of greenery, flowers, orange trees. And to be fair, you only pay €5 to get in here. €5, amazing value. We've still got most of the gardens to walk around, but even just looking at these first few pools, it looks spectacular. So this is quite a significant statue here in the Alcázar. It commemorates Ferdinand and Isabel meeting Christopher Columbus before he set off on his voyage, of course, on which he discovered America. So that's the Alcázar here in Cordoba. Was it worth it? Well, we only paid €5. What do you think? You've seen it. I mean, the inside, there's a couple of rooms to see, some nice artwork, some nice ornate stonework, but the real star of the Alcázar is the gardens. Just one water feature after another, beautifully manicured trees, plenty of colour in the flowers in the gardens, lots of little pathways. It's absolutely tremendous, the garden. It is definitely something you should do when you're here in Cordoba. Just as we were leaving the Alcázar, the heavens opened again, but luckily our hotel was just a short 5-minute walk away. Unfortunately, the rain didn't let up for the rest of the evening, so we had to abandon our nighttime sightseeing plans. But we did enjoy a nice meal at Gino's, an Italian restaurant in the centre of town. The weather wasn't looking much better for our second day in Cordoba, but we still pushed on and spent the first hour or so exploring some of the smaller attractions in the city. This is the Plaza de Corredera. And as you may have noticed behind us, we've got unlucky with the weather again. It seems to follow us around, and we've got Spain and Portugal the last few times, but that's okay. 24 degrees here next week, about 14 degrees now. But the point I'm trying to make is that this would probably usually be a bustling square. You can see the shopkeepers setting up cafes, but it's a bit rain swept at the moment, doesn't it? So you'll just have to imagine the sun shining on it when you come later in the year. Now there's a bit of construction and restoration work here, but it's interesting to visit anyway. The city of Cordoba has a rich history of people from different faiths and backgrounds, and obviously there's a Roman bridge here, and there's also the remains of a Roman temple. This is the Plaza de las Tendillas in the centre of Cordoba. I really like this. Lots of ornate trees around the outside, some good ironwork, fountain, and look at the building up there with a cupola on top and the statue. It's a really nice look, I like that. It was approaching 10 AM, so we headed over to the Mezquita ready for opening time. We have tickets for the 10 o'clock entry to the Mezquita in Cordoba, which is when it opened. But even on a rainy day like this, you can see it's pretty busy. This is one place you're definitely going to need to pre-book. If you don't pre-book, you might get in. But in the summer, if you're coming in summer, definitely pre-book because you won't get in. Make sure you get here early, get in the queue. Now, if you do one thing in Cordoba, you have to visit the inside of the Mezquita. Tickets cost €13, which is definitely worth it. Pictures really can't do justice to the endless rows of red and white archways. If you appreciate architecture, you'll be absolutely blown away by this site. The Mezquita was originally built in the 8th century when Cordoba was the capital of Muslim Spain. After the reconquest of the city in 1236, it was converted into a Christian cathedral, which is why the central section has been transformed into a Renaissance-style cathedral. Luckily for everyone, the subsequent Christian monarchs decided to keep most of the Muslim architecture intact, which is why we now have this beautiful blend of architectural styles and faiths coexisting inside the building. We spent around an hour exploring every nook and cranny of the Mezquita before heading back out into the rain. So we came out of the Mezquita and you have to buy separate tickets to go up the bell tower there, which are only €3, so it's probably good value. However, I can't tell you because when we went to the bottom, the guy basically said, well, look at the weather, the bell tower's closed. So whether we've got an email with a refund, I don't know, but it seems a bit weird that you can't go up a tower in the rain. There are plenty of other towers in the rain. It's slightly disappointing. But do not let that take away from the absolute awesomeness of this cathedral, the Mezquita. You walk inside, you'll have all seen the videos of the red and white arches. That's the signature look of the cathedral. It's like walking through a forest of stone columns and arch after arch. It's absolutely beautiful inside. But what I wasn't prepared for was how first of all, the cathedral is so big, but also the different aspects of it. That most of it is covered in the ornate archways, but there's also some other Muslim-style archways in there. And then in the centre of the cathedral, of course, there's a Christian section. Now, the king, when he rebuilt this cathedral, he was so bowled over by the Muslim style that he left most of it untouched and just built the Christian cathedral in the middle. The Christian cathedral itself, that's really ornate as well. It's got a fantastic dome, detailed ceilings, but overall it's quite simply one of the most amazing religious buildings I've ever been in. And I've been in a few cathedrals these last few years touring around Europe. This is right up there, so do not miss this if you're anywhere in Andalusia. For lunch, we headed to the El Rincón Andaluz, where we enjoyed a very tasty vegetable paella. After lunch, we headed across town to the Palacio de Viana. This is the Palacio Viana, a series of 12 patios and courtyards that you can walk through. So we're going to look at this. We paid for it in advance. I can't remember how much we paid for the ticket. I think it was €8 each. We booked at a time, probably on a day like today in the spring, winter. You don't really have to worry about paying in advance. But in the summer, again, definitely book in advance. Anyway, let's check out what the patios have got to offer. This is my favourite patio that I've seen so far, including those yesterday and today. This is the patio of the oranges. You'll be unsurprised to hear. The Palacio de Viana. I would say it's definitely worth visiting. €8 each, which I think is a pretty good price for what you get. Lots of different courtyards, a lot of them featuring orange trees, a variety of ornamental water features. Some of them are bigger than the others, but overall the effect is it's a really beautiful set of patios, so something you should definitely do when you're here in Cordoba. On our way back to the hotel, we walked past a few more points of interest, including the San Agustin Church and the Town Hall. After a couple of hours rest in the hotel, we were ready for a night of exploring, but once again the rain had other plans. But we were determined to explore Cordoba at night, so we put on our ponchos and set off for the Puerta de Almodóvar. Okay, it's evening in Cordoba, and just a quick note about my attire. It's been raining again. I bet 1 in 20 people watching this video will see that much rain. Honestly, it hardly rains in Cordoba. If you come in the summer, you're hardly going to see any rain. Anyway, we're braving the rain, so you don't have to. We're going to take you around some of the best sights to see in Cordoba in the evening. We're starting here at the Puerta de Almodóvar. Movedar? I always get it wrong. You know what I mean. Look it up on the map. Well, the great thing about this is there's some nice pools here. You've got the lanterns on both sides, and it lights up the city wall here nicely. It's a really beautiful spot. One of the best things about Cordoba is how compact the historic centre is. So we had no problem seeing everything we wanted to see at night in just a couple of hours. After walking alongside the city wall and past the Alcázar, we headed to our final stop, the place where we had started our trip 36 hours prior.
So, we're ending our 2 days in Cordoba, back where we started, on the end of the Roman bridge. Have we had a good time? Of course we have. The weather hasn't been great. It's been raining about half the time, but we have had some blue sky moments. But what sights we've seen. I mean, top of the list is the Mezquita, the mosque turned cathedral. It's absolutely stunning with its red and white arches and columns. It's an absolute must if you're anywhere in Andalusia. Also great was the Alcázar. I mean, inside the Alcázar there wasn't much to see, but the gardens and the water features are absolutely beautiful. Another feature of Cordoba is all the various flower patios. There are lots of patios you can go inside and see lots of ornamental water features and flower displays. And it doesn't cost much to go in them, like the Palacio de Viana, for example, who went in today. €8. That is fantastic value. 12 patios to see all in one. Just walking around the streets of Cordoba is absolutely fantastic. You see all kinds of statues, very neat rows of houses down the road. It's a very appealing, visually appealing city, and you'd really enjoy visiting it. Just trying to think of some of the other things we've seen. There's so much we've done in these 2 days. It really is a place you should visit if you're visiting southern Spain. So with that, thanks for watching Rob on Holiday. We hope you enjoyed our tour around Cordoba. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. It helps the channel. And keep an eye out, and we'll see you next time.